Hello and welcome to another video. I'm Northern Soul Reaper and today we are reviewing chapter 8 of Guardian of the Witch. Now before we kick things off, if you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing to the channel. That's the best way to get the videos as and when they come out. And drop a like and leave a comment below. Feel free to follow me on Twitter and Instagram as well. I have those. I'll leave links in the description to each one, and my Twitter occasionally crops up from time to time on the videos. So let's get right into the review. So as always, before we get started on the review, this is going to be talking about the chapter in quite a bit of detail, so it's this is a spoiler warning before we get started. If you want to go and read it in the Shonen Jump app and then come back, that would be great. So chapter 8 of Guardian of the Witch, the top-hatted inventor. The chapter begins in a strange house seemingly in the middle of nowhere. It's the house of the man that saved them at the end of the last chapter. Manasfa is holed up in bed, and their new saviour, won't go so as far as to call him ally yet, he slaps down a wanted poster and he says that you lot seem to look a lot like this group in the poster. And he says, let me guess, you were exhausted fighting the people that were coming after you and you just had nothing left in the tank to go up against the evils. And it's at this point that we find out that his name is Drake Marduk and he is an inventor, top-hatted inventor, as the title chapter suggests. And Fafner says, why did you save us? And Drake kind of says, well, yeah, saved you? I mean, I did paralyze the evils in front of you and I did heal up your witch, and I did just offer you some coffee. However, you know, I still have two options in front of me. I could leave things as they are, let you hide here, and that would be fine, or I could turn you into the federated city-states of Uv and collect the bounty on you guys. And he goes on to say that hiding you here poses a great risk to him, and money's money. He needs the money to buy things, to invent things, so he's more so inclined to hand them over. At which point, proving that he's sort of a bit of an eccentric, he's like, but the moon's going to be pretty, so I'm going to go have a look at it and I'm going to think about it before I make my decision. And he leaves the room, and Nahta and Fafner kind of are sat there, and Nahta's like, Fafner, we need to be careful here, and Fafner's like, yes, he's not an ally, not just yet, I need to be sharp around him. And so with that, Fafner goes outside to confront Drake, and Drake turns around and sees him there, and he's like, oh hi, did you come to see the moon too? And Fafner's like, heck no, I came out because if you're going to turn us over to our enemies, I want to be right here to stop you when you do. And Drake says, my, well, aren't you scary? Well, you are a witch's guardian after all. And with that, Drake launches himself at Fafner and slams his head into the ground. And in this position, Fafner finds that he can't move. And Drake says, well, I was a witch's guardian as well for the city-state of Medi. It's one of the central city-states that is most well known for its fighting power of its guardians. And Drake says, I just gave your head a little shake, messed up the equilibrium a bit. And he says, what happens if you manage to do the impossible? What if you survive me? What then? Are you under some impression that you're strong? He says, yes, you managed to defy the law and you escaped with your witch and you managed to beat back your pursuers this one time. But he says, at the end of the day, yes, you made those decisions, but all you've managed to do is put 2 other lives in danger with you. And he says, if I was another pursuer when I found you, you would have been dead. You wouldn't have stood a chance. You're ignorant, you're powerless, and you're short-sighted. And Drake says, the more and more this goes on, I'm regretting helping you. I should turn you in for the bounty. And at this point, Fafner gets down, begins to beg. He says, please don't turn us over. And Drake's like, why shouldn't I? And he says, I must keep Manasfa and Nahta safe. I have to defend them. And he says, I was weak, I was the one who turned their lives upside down. Please don't do it. And while he's begging to Drake, Drake says, you disappoint me again. I could be your enemy here and yet you're begging for mercy. And Fafner says, I'm just too weak. I knew that they were going to send pursuers after us. I knew that I'd have to fight them back, and I knew I'd have to beat tons of evils. But at the rate that I'm going, I'm just going to get them killed. And he says, I'm not just weak, I'm a worthless jerk who put 2 other lives in danger. And at this point, Drake says, yes, you are a weakling, and you're hopelessly and utterly incompetent, but you still have a choice that I no longer have. And it's at this point that we learn that he killed his witch. He was in love with his witch and he had to put her down. He says, you still have the potential to avoid making the mistake that I did. So what I expect of you right now isn't begging, isn't grovelling. What I expect is just one thing. You have to keep your witch alive at all costs, because that is the job of a guardian, is it not? And Fafner's reminded of his duty. He's like, keep her alive no matter what. And Drake says, yes, exactly. That's the guardian. That's what guardians do. They guard their charge. However, in this world, it's exceptionally difficult to manage. Far more so than creating an invention. It's difficult to keep people alive in this world. However, if you swear that no matter what hell you go through, you'll see this duty done, then perhaps. And at this point, he has a bit of a reminisce about his old witch, and he says, Al, is it right for me to bequeath this dream that we had on someone else, to do what we couldn't do? And at this point, Drake says, you have 3 days to surpass me. If you manage to do it, I will teach you about magic and fighting. I'll teach you everything you need to do to survive in this harsh, unforgiving world. But if after 3 days I don't see any potential in you, I will turn you in for the bounty. Well, yes or no, Fafner, it's up to you. And Fafner says, heck yes, I'll do it. And that's where the chapter ends. I really liked this chapter, despite the abrupt ending to the fight in the last chapter and this kind of new character being sort of, quickly introduced. It almost feels like a little bit of a course correction. We kind of now have a clear goal for Fafner and the group. Fafner has to surpass Drake Marduk. And I don't know, in the chapters previous, it just felt like a bit of aimless wandering. They were just they had the goal of getting to Noir, but it was like, we have to get to the first town and then move on to the towns. It just felt a bit like this vast open kind of wildness, and we have to get through it. There wasn't much of a going on from story beat to story beat. They just had the end goal. And this feels like giving them something, a goal to look forward to in the middle. It feels like a bit of a course correction in terms of the plot. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what this arc brings. We have the prospect of Fafner learning some magic, or maybe he's Manasfa learning some new magic. And we have the possibility of him learning some new fighting techniques and this how to survive in this world if he can surpass Drake Marduk, which is going to be really fun to see him trying to do, because as has been demonstrated, he's quite a formidable fighter. He's able to take down Fafner straight away, albeit he was wounded and weak, but it'll be fun to see the two of them duke it out when they're at full strength. That's it for the review. I really enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of it as well. Do you agree? Do you think it was a bit of a course correction on the writer's part to kind of give them a clear goal from beat to beat, or did you just not like it at all? Think it was a bit too rushed again, and still not enjoying it? If you like this video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. It would really mean a lot. It would be super helpful if you would subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much for watching. I've been Northern Soul Reaper, and until next time, goodbye.